Hey guys, it's Elisa, and today I have a video on how to make a TBR book jar. So, I know I've seen a lot of booktubers do this lately. I know it's been for a couple months, but I have only recently started seeing the videos. I know I'm a very bad booktuber. I apologize, but I'm going to make that up by making my own TBR book jars. You just write down, well, there's different ways that I've seen that a lot of people do it. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to write a bunch of books that have been on my bookshelf that I've been meaning to read. I recently was looking at my Goodreads to be read list and kind of looking back and seeing what's been on there, and I literally have books on this list that have been there since like 2008 or 2009. I want to say 2009. I own the majority of the books that are on my TBR list from back then, because I know I have a really big TBR list right now. It's like in the thousands, which is insane, but what can I say? I'm literally doing this, like my thought process and everything right now is just basically being filmed with you guys. I haven't really thought about it. I just knew that I wanted to do a TBR book jar, and I was lucky enough to acquire this jar, and I will go ahead and tell you a story about how I got this jar as well. So I'm going to pick about 24 books. That sounds like a good number. 24 books, and I will go ahead and pick one book a month for my to be read for that month. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to use this paper. Yes, it's Cars. I didn't want to buy any kind of special paper or anything like that. This is just a notepad that I have. So I got my sheet of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it up for you. First, I'm going to fold it because why not? I will fold the piece of paper, and I'm going to cut it. So, while we're doing this, I will tell you guys a story. Because when I acquired my jar, my friend wanted me to tell the story of how I acquired my jar. So George, I am doing what you asked me to do. So me and my friend George, we decided to have friend time. And we went out to the movies, and we went out to eat and hang out as, you know, best friends do. We decided to go to Papados, like a New Orleans kind of seafood place. Like they have the typical like fish, shrimp, lobster, crab, and then they have like gator and frog legs and stuff like that. So yes. Anyways, we were there. And since me and George are both over the age of 21, we decided to indulge ourselves in a lovely drink. So, as George likes his liquor, not in a bad way, but he does. So, he decided to get something called a bourbon lemonade, I want to say. Could be wrong. Who knows? But it came in this pretty little jar. And when the waiter brought the jar, I kind of whispered loudly because it was just a joke. But I told George, I was like, oh my God, we get to keep the jar. I was like, do we get to keep the jar? I don't know. Do we keep the jar? And he's just looking at me like, be quiet. And the waiter was all like, no, but I'll leave the jar here for you. I was like, okay. And so he left, and we enjoyed our dinner and our drinks and, you know, joking around. And when it was time to go ahead and leave, I was like, was he really kidding? Like, is the jar really ours? Like, is it part of the drink? Is it not part of the drink? Is it, you know, are they going to charge us for it anyway with the drink? And yeah, and he's like, I was like, I'm going to take it. And he's like, no, don't take it. And I was like, I'm going to take it. And he's like, no, don't take it. And I was like, well, the waiter said to take it. And he's all like, I was like, what if you're paying for something and you leave it behind? And I was like, I don't like to do that. And he was just like, he just rolled his eyes. And I did what any typical girl would do. I grabbed the jar and I put it in my purse. And he was just like laughing at me. He's all like, leave it there, I'll buy you a bunch of jars. And I'm like, it's not the same thing, and I don't know what else. And he just shook his head, and I took the jar. So that is how I acquired this jar from Papa Do's. So yes, I hope you're happy, George. I told the story. Okay, guys. So I've counted the little papers that I've cut. I've cut 18. I really don't want to cut another sheet of paper just so that I can go ahead and get 6 more pieces. I don't want to cut another piece of paper, so I'm going to amend my 24 books to 18. Just because I don't want to waste paper. Because knowing me, I will cut it and throw the rest away. And I don't want to do that. So I will go ahead and start with 18, and as the jar gets lower, I will make another video when I refill my TBR jar. Deal? Deal. So a lot of these books are in, like when I look at it, they're like part of a series. Like I have like book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of go with the book 1s of the series and kind of go from there. If I really enjoy it, I'm more than sure that I will go ahead and pick up the second one, and I don't need the TBR jar to be full of second or third books if the first one's already in there. So, because more than likely I'll pick up the next one if I own it. So, yeah. So the first book I'm going to go ahead and go with is Legacy of Lies and Don't Tell by Elizabeth Chandler. I have really bad penmanship, so I don't want to show you my writing, but it's written, it's orange. Okay, I'm going to fold it and put it in my jar. The next book that I'm going to be going with is Rebel by Clare Delacroix. This is the third and final book in the Eyes of the Republic. This is a urban fantasy about angels. It's a post-apocalyptic setting. The next one that I'll go ahead and put in is Showdown by Ted Dekker. This is the first book in the Paradise series. The next one that I'll go ahead and put in is Spells by Aprilynne Pike. This is the second book in the Wings series. There's 4 books. The next one that I'm going to put in is The Demon's Covenant by Rees Brennan. This is the second book in the Demon Lexicon series. The next one that I will be adding is Death's Daughter by Amber Benson. This is the first book in the Calliope Reaper Jones series. It's another urban fantasy. I love Amber Benson. She used to come out in Buffy. The next one is Betrayals by Lili St. Crow. This is the second book in the Strange Angels series. The next book that I'm going to go ahead and add in is the Physick book of Deliverance Dean by Katherine Howe. I think this is an adult book. It's about the Salem witches. I bought it years ago when it came out. I do own it in physical books, so that will go in. The next book that I'm going to add is The Devouring by Simon Holt. A lot of people say this is kind of scary. That's the reason why I've been putting it off. I do own all 3 books in this series. I'm scared, but I will go ahead and add it into my TBR jar. The next book that I'm going to go ahead and add in is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I have not read the Percy Jackson series. I do own all 5 books. The next one that I'm going to go ahead and add is Horns by Joe Hill. I bought this book for my boyfriend a couple years ago when it first came out. He really enjoyed it. I've always wanted to read it. Never got to it, but I will add it to my TBR jar. The next book that I want to go ahead and add into the list is Star-Crossed by Josephine Angelini. The next book that I'm going to go ahead and add into my jar is Lament by Maggie Stiefvater. I do own Lament and Ballad. The next book I'm going to go ahead and add is Stormborn by Richelle Mead. This is her second adult. Yes, her second adult series. It is the Dark Swan series. So the next book that I went ahead and went with was Bitter Blue by Kristin Cashore. Also decided to tear one of the, like, two of the papers in half to kind of make it actually 20 books. I added in Green by Ted Dekker, and I went ahead and added in The Maze Runner by James Dashner. The next book that I'm going to go ahead and add in is 20 Boy Summer by Sarah Ockler. I've owned it for a while. I've wanted to read it forever, so I'm going to go ahead and add that one in. So the next book that I'm going to go ahead and add in is Tith, I don't know if I'm saying that right, by Holly Black, because it's on this list. I will go ahead and add Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. It has been on my TBR list since 2010, and just because I saw it and it's on my it's on my bookshelf, and I really want to read it. Starling by Lesley Livingston, add that one on as well. I'm gonna go ahead and tear paper in half, and not even. Okay, last but not least, since I keep tearing pages or tearing my little papers in half, I went ahead and decided to go ahead and add If I Die by Rachel Vincent. This is book 5 in the Soul Screamers series. Okay, so all in all, since my original goal was 24 just because I guessed a number, not because I had planned this out or anything like that. I ended up cutting 18, and then I decided to cut some up. So, or I shouldn't say cut, I decided to tear some in half. So I don't know how many I have anymore, so we're going to count them really quickly. So 1, 2, so not bad, 22, so that's 2 less than what I had started out this video with guessing. So there's 22 books in this little jar. I feel like I should have used like bigger sheets of paper so that it looks more kind of full. I do apologize, I have this thing of kind of folding things insy wincy, teeny weeny, itty bitty. So yeah, this is my TBR book jar. I hope you enjoyed this video. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye!